He's asking me if I'm ready. Mics are in queue.
Mm-hmm.
See, mics. I can't see. I left my glasses.
You can use mine.
No, it's all right. You want me to see? If I use your glasses, I am not going to see. Mics
really?
are in queue.
That bad, huh?
Yeah.
I need to. I haven't had. My sister's been bugging me about getting my eyes checked too. So.
Yeah. Yellow light. Okay. All right, Tony.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Let's see. You didn't get it? All right. I am back in the studio live. This is a beautiful thing. I haven't been here for a few weeks due to work and the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Eastern Regional Convention. And, some quiet celebrations along the way. Mm-hmm. So now I'm back for the summer. Yay! So today we are live in the studio, 103.5 FM, WNHH, NewHavenIndependent.org. And we're talking sports. And in the studio with me is the one and only Tony McClean. Thanks, Tony, for coming in.
No problem.
Big news today. We're going to jump right into it.
Go ahead.
NCAA has approved college athletes being able to transfer without having the permission of their coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we've been dealing with for the past couple of years.
Yeah, mainly football and basketball. Maybe more so football. Like I was saying before, I guess you can call it the Nick Saban rule. Because he's allegedly has been doing some shenanigans over the years in regards to Bama players transferring, basically not having them transfer to other teams in the SEC.
Right.
So now they basically just gave him a big kick in the tuchus with this thing. It makes sense, but because to be honest with you, the NCAA needed to do something like this because if the kids really realize the kind of power that they really have, here,
yeah,
and I think the powers that be are starting to recognize that a little bit more now, and they're so image conscious because they're going to try to do anything and everything they can to not pay them,
right?
Because eventually that's going to have to be now. And again, you have to be careful when you say that. We're talking mainly the quote unquote revenue generating sports, although it depends on where your school is. Most people, when they hear revenue generating sports, they think football and basketball.
Right.
But you've got a lot of schools where the women's basketball team generates the most money. Hint, hint. We're living in the state.
We're living in that state. Yes.
You can make that argument for the Lady Vols
in Tennessee.
Well. But then you've also got other schools where the baseball team
right
is the big breadwinner. So there's all sorts of obstacles along the way, but I think there's no way around it now, because I think when you realize the kind of money that is generated, that these kids help generate, and again, no one's saying to give them 7-figure salaries, but
right,
but
give them some leeway.
Exactly. Just yes, we know that they get certain stipends or whatever.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah, and see, you still have some people that thought Shabazz Napier was lying a few years back when he said they don't feed us. Yeah. And that goes on a lot, even with these, these trips to bowl games and games during the week where, because what is it, most Division I football schools, they travel with 70 players. Now, that's just the players.
Right. That's not staff.
Yeah, we're not talking about the assistant coaches, the cheerleaders, and the support staff, and all that other stuff.
I was going to say trainers, all of that.
Yeah, it's
a true entourage.
Exactly, and most importantly, there's no bad movies made about it, at least not yet.
But the interesting statistic to me was that more regular students transfer than student athletes.
Of course.
So in Division I, or as they like to say now, D1, most of the students, you've got an attrition rate, between, and I don't know if it's changed, between 10 and 15% of students. And most of those students are either coming to one college or going to another and vice versa. So it's not unusual for a student to transfer. No. And more student athletes stay put. There are very few, according to statistics. I can't quote the statistic right now, but there are very few.
And see, now the others
who leave.
And then there's the other statistic that's never kept, are the ones that leave and don't come back.
Right.
Look, I'll come right out and say it. I almost quit school myself when I was going. I was threatened bodily harm by my significant other and other friends, so I wound up staying, and thank God I did. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the transfer rate is more among non-students. I mean, non-athletes, because look, all you got to do is look at the student loan debt, and all that other stuff, and you got a lot of folks also that they start off maybe at a community college or a junior college, and then they'll
transfer
to regular school. And that's not just athletes. I think some of us in the sports world have snobbishly forgotten about, there's the non-athletes.
There are students.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are not here to play sports. Exactly. They're actually strictly academic.
Because see, look, there are no students that are saying, we're trying to put up a good student body so the athletes will be proud. It's the other way around. It's supposed to be the other way around, but that gets lost in the sauce.
So what do you think is going to happen? What's the next step here?
I think, like I said, I think the next step at some point is going to be, I think that has to be the next step.
You think that's a shorter distance on the road now?
Put it this way. Everything happens at a snail's pace. Remember, we're only 3 years removed now for the national playoff.
Yep.
And see, once they realized, hey, we can make a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
So once they realized that they could do that, that's why you have it now. But see, the other side to that is that there's more money available for these kids. And see, again, I can hear the people out there saying, these kids, they shouldn't be making all this kind of money. Look, it's not like they're making, 7 figures, but with the money that's being generated by a lot of these schools, a lot of these leagues, a lot of these bowl games, not to jump the gun, but we just heard now that they're going to add 3 more bowl games that they don't need. But the money is there.
Yeah, but see, Tony, excuse me. All of a sudden, there's all this cold stuff happening.
Sure.
Are you not? And this has always been the debate since probably the 80s. Mm-hmm. Are you not going to school to get an education?
Of course.
But then, if that is the case, should they expect pay? Well, and you're saying based on what they're bringing into the school, they should get something.
I mean, what's the difference? I mean, in layman's terms, again, playing for, say, Alabama or Michigan or whatever, isn't that just at the end of the day a real glorified internship?
Hmm.
I mean, granted, if you're doing an internship, say in the medical field, it's not like, I don't know if they make. I'm not sure if they're making that kind of money.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, look, college is used to help you enhance your life afterwards.
Correct.
So I mean, again, to me,
so you see it more or less like an internship.
At the end of the day, there's the only difference between, say, and I'm not trying to generalize, but the only difference between, say, a football scholarship and, say, a chemist scholarship is that I'm not mixing beryllium in front of 80,000 people on national television
to get a grade.
And I don't want to belittle
downplay
the downplay, but we have to be realistic here. And again, and I go back and forth with this with some of the folks who work in the HBCUs, because you have a lot of the folks that think, we have to be just about academics. You have to be just about academics. And I get that. But look, do you really think that Duke, Stanford, Northwestern, and all these other schools aren't using athletics to bring in other students? You're foolish if you think that.
Yeah, because I mean,
that's branding 101 for Christ's sake.
I was going to say it's a branding thing. It's a marketing piece, because I know of different high schoolers who are not athletes, but just for the opportunity to get a ticket to go to a Carolina game or to go to a UCLA game means just as much to them,
of course,
as it does to get a college education.
Of course. I mean, it goes hand in hand. Look, we know that at the end of the day, you're going to make your money off of academics. But are you really going to tell me that those schools that I mentioned, the Dukes of the world, the Northwesterns of the world, the Stanfords of the world, are going to say, oh no, we're going to turn down that athletic money because we're a high, and my ass, they're going to take that money and see. I look at it like this, and I know maybe I'm sacrilegious in mentioning this. Remember when Cosby, at the height of his power, when he was doing the Cosby Show, when he would wear the HBCU shirts and stuff on the show?
Yep.
That is something that no school, whether they're HBCU or a white majority school,
as they like to say now, PWI,
which is
predominantly white institution.
I thought it was the new station on 108.6 or whatever the hell it was, but for you to be so snobbish and, quite frankly, ignorant to turn away from what athletic money and what athletic prowess can do for you, that's, I mean, what's the phrase? Penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah. But see, Cosby did that as sort of like a marketing tool for the different schools.
You know why? Because
nobody had done that prior.
No, yes, they did.
Who?
It's called NCAA football on ABC, CBS, and NBC. They had it built in. They had it built in
for the PWI.
Yeah,
and not necessarily. That's what I'm saying. It hadn't been done for the HBCUs on that level.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, on that level. Yeah,
level.
But a lot of it, sadly, was because. And again, I'm trying not to paint a broad brush with the HBCUs, but I've worked with a few over the years, and you've gone, and you're a graduate.
I'm a graduate.
One. There's still that old mentality of it's just about the academics, and I get that, I understand that, but for you to turn away that kind of built-in marketing that you have, especially when you realize the history that you have. Whether it's A&T, whether it's Grambling, whether it's Morgan, or what have you, you can't turn stuff like that away.
Well, Tony, I think that's changing, though. I mean,
yes and no. It's getting there. It's
changing. It's slower. But I think as HBCUs realize the power of athletics, again, because you have to remember, when schools became integrated, we lost a lot of athletes.
Exactly.
Because you had a lot of places that had the money.
Oh, sure.
And paying folks' families and all that kind of stuff during the 70s and the 80s and even a little bit in the 90s.
And the athletic part of HBCUs took the hit.
Correct.
Because look, let's be clear. We were just talking about the SEC. The SEC did not become the best conference in the world overnight. It happened because those kids that were going to Bama those kids that are going to Bama now may have gone to Alabama A&M or Alabama State back in the day.
They were
those
going to
kids that are
Grambling
going
and
to
Southern
LSU,
too.
Oh yeah, that's I was just those kids in Louisiana were going to Southern and Grambling. Those kids in Mississippi were going to Mississippi Valley State or Alcorn. Those kids in Maryland were going to Bowie or Morgan
State.
or how and on.
Yeah,
and
we can go on and on.
I mean, dare I say it, maybe LeBron might have gone to Central Ohio University for a couple of years.
And there's a historically black college out in, oh goodness,
Wilberforce?
Not Wilberforce. It starts with a C.
Oh, Chicago.
No, it's like in Wisconsin or something. It's Clarion, or it sounds something like that.
Yeah, they're in the SIAC now, I believe. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, Clarion. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a place I met someone who had gone there, and they were talking about, we have maids and we have people who, and I'm like, this is a HBCU? What is this? What endowment do you have that you've got maids, and butlers that you're like, call and they're for everybody.
Maybe that'll be in the help part too. I don't know.
Hopefully we won't see the help again.
I know.
But anyway,
I know.
We digress slightly. So the rule says, I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Okay.
Going forward, a notification of transfer model will be in use. This new system allows a student to inform his or her current school of a desire to transfer, then requires that school to enter the student's name into a national transfer database within 2 business days. Once the student athlete's name is in the database, other coaches are free to contact that individual.
Now, are they waiving the year too?
It doesn't say anything about it.
Because see, that's the key. Because if you're now, I know they've changed it when you go from a Division I to a lower level.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going from one Division I to another Division I, now if they've gotten rid of the year, then you're really talking something revolutionary, because usually you have to sit out that year, and then you go from, unless it's in a special situation like we saw with Russell Wilson when he went from North Carolina State to Wisconsin.
All right, so here's the catch. Conferences still have the freedom to enact transfer restrictions. Coaches around the country still anticipate that some leagues will put up walls preventing a player to transfer interconference. Those details remain to be seen, but such restrictions are common and prevent athletes from moving within one conference. The NCAA also notes that any tampering found by a coach prior to a player enrolling in the transfer database would amount to a level 2 violation.
Oh.
And so a level 2...
It's a little modified, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Is a significant breach of conduct. That's how it's defined.
Gotcha.
Now, whether they really put that in place is another story, because we all know, you got a level 2 and what happens?
Yeah. It sounds like, again, they're sort of like, well, we'll give you a little bit of this, but we're still going to get a little bit of this.
We're still going to get a little bit of this.
Yeah. It's too bad. But see, again, then you're going to start seeing kids say, you know what, then I'll just go someplace where I don't have to deal with this mess.
Right. Now, the NCAA has been busy today.
Yeah.
Because
they knew we were doing the show. That's why they did
of course.
this.
To give me some content.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. College football seasons continue to grow. They were expected to announce today that they've approved 3 new bowl games for the postseason. While the official sites have not been determined, Brett McMurphy is reporting that Chicago and Myrtle Beach are considered strong contenders. He also adds the to be named Chicago Bowl will be played at Wrigley Field and feature teams from the ACC,
the Big Ten,
and Big Ten.
What a surprise.
That'll bring the postseason game number to 43, including college football playoffs national championship, meaning 65% of the FBS is going to go bowling.
Well, they already do. I mean, okay, was it 44 bowls now?
Yeah.
44 times 2, that's 88 teams, 120 teams in Division 1. So
does that mean everybody's going to get to play sooner or later?
Yes and no, I guess, but it's I mean 88 88 of 120?
Yeah.
But see,
we're going to be bowl crazy is what we're going to be.
Well, it's beyond that, because see, they've already see, this is how it may blow up in their face. There were several bowl games last year where you had the exciting matchup of 5-6 team versus a 4-7 team. Now, I put it this way. When I petitioned to get Hill House High School in one of those bowl games a couple years ago when they were 9-0 and couldn't get into they were 9-1 and couldn't get into the CIAC playoffs. Well, I was saying, bruh, try to get to a bowl game. You're 9-1. You're better than 50 teams and whatever. But see, also the Pac-12 a couple weeks ago said we will not send losing teams to a bowl game.
So again, it's up to the league itself.
Left-handed.
As to who gets to play. So on the right hand, we're saying, here, we're offering you this. And then the left hand slaps you and says, not so fast.
We'll put it this way. It's much like in life, the left hand refuses to talk to the right hand for whatever reason. And this is the kind of, but see, there's no need for 40 bowl games. There's really no need for 30 bowl games. But again,
that's where we're going. Well, and part of that is the betting, though, Tony.
You betting on betting on college and professional sports?
It's coming.
Blasphemous.
I know, but it's
Blasphemous.
coming. It's coming.
It's already
here. that trip down that road is getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah. It's and especially now that and the funny thing with the Supreme Court decision. They really didn't do anything.
Tell what that is.
Well, the suit which was I guess a throwaway gift for Chris Christie and the state of New Jersey, basically was saying that the states have the right to how can I say they have the right to do what they want to do in regards to gaming. More than anything. I might be butchering. Trust me, I might be butchering.
That's sort of the paraphrase of it.
And see, there have been, basically New Jersey has been basically in a Usain Bolt getting ready to run position in regards to this. They've already passed it. Delaware, and I've gone on record. A friend of mine, I said, by the time the first kickoff for the National Football League comes, I'm sure not just Delaware and Jersey, I think New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, the whole Eastern Seaboard is going to be all locked up by opening night. Matter of fact, and I think some of the places on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line, like Mississippi and others, that already have some casinos there, I think will do it as well. Now I know there's some holdup. There's allegedly some holdup here in the state in regards to this, but we also saw that there was a holdup in Jersey as well, and then all of a sudden, boom, that thing got. But basically, and I don't think this is hyperbole. I don't think this is overstating, but the glass ceiling has been taken off now, and this has been in the works basically for the last couple of years. I actually wrote about, not to toot my own horn, but I actually wrote about this about 3 years ago when Vegas was given the hockey team, the Golden Knights. To me, that was going to be like, okay, this is a litmus test. This is going to be a litmus test for professional sports. If that team is successful, and and to me, it had nothing to do with the fact that we're either a good or a bad team on the field. Now they wind up having the greatest season of any expansion team ever, and they fell just short of winning the championship. But this was more about a litmus test for the rest of professional sports, and not too long after they were given the franchise, the Raiders are now on their way to Vegas, even though they've still got a couple more years left in Oakland. And I think that what you're starting to see now is a society that all of a sudden now, when you also realize that Vegas has tried to become more "quote unquote" family friendly
oriented
over the years and everything like that. So what's the next best thing? We need professional sports.
And this comes 2 years after the NCAA. Almost let that other acronym out that starts with an M. This is not political. It's sports.
Right.
The bowl expansion comes 2 years after the NCAA placed a 3-year moratorium on bowl certification, something college athletics governing body does from time to time to assess the competitive layout.
Basically, they just went a long way to say cha-ching.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. But yeah, it's the glass ceiling has been lifted. And let's be honest here. Let's be completely honest. The train that's running this is the NFL. Plain and simple. Yes, you're going to have people that's going to bet the NBA. Yes, you're going to have people that's going to bet Major League Baseball. Yes, you're going to have some people that will bet hockey. You will even have degenerates that will bet other sports as well. But let's be clear here. The National Football League is running this show. And if you think that the leagues aren't salivating at this, you haven't been paying attention. Because between being inundated with these commercials with FanDuel and DraftKings, and when you watch the games now, or if you see the signage on some of the baseball and some of the other professional sports where you see casinos brazenly advertising before, during, and after the game. Put it this way, somewhere Pete Rose is kicking the hell out of his dog. That's all I'll say.
ESPN and the Action Network are first out of the gate with a show called I'll Take That Bet on ESPN Plus streaming platform.
It's shameless.
Okay? Shameless.
It's shameless. Now.
SNY in New York is expected to develop a sports betting-driven studio show while also layering some more gambling information to current coverage. And with the need to fill 24 hours worth of broadcast time, national sports cable networks such as Fox Sports 1, NBCSN, and CBS Sports Network won't be too far behind, this column is predicting. Look for traditional networks to also include information and analysis of favorites, underdogs, point spreads, and betting lines across states as legalized betting comes across the nation.
It's there. And see, like I said, put it this way, the glass ceiling has been broken. And all I'll say is be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, because now you're going to have a lot. Because when we were growing up, was there not a movement to sort of squash betting parlors?
Well, it's sort of like prohibition. And we all know how well that worked.
That went, yeah.
See, I bring up the National Football League because their attitude over the years has always been, oh no, our fans don't bet; they just love the game.
Well, we all know.
Yeah, and I have some land in Singapore you may be interested in.
Well, this almost will be a boon for Sports Haven, right?
Put it this way, let's put it this way.
Some local economic
growth. They definitely will. It's
going to help them a lot.
Put it this way, any place where there's been like pari-mutuel stuff, now they can basically throw the
professional sports in there.
Exactly.
And you can come in, because they open at what, 7?
No, then for betting, I don't think they open that early.
That early?
Because see, remember, usually
I'm thinking of the old days.
Well, again, that was the degenerate factor,
right?
But the thing is now, most of your first horse races don't go off until maybe at the earliest, maybe 11.
Yeah,
noon,
11. Yeah,
unless you've got unless you've got racing overseas.
Yeah,
and racing in the West Coast. But even then, that's going to be like an overnight sort of thing. But not. Put it this way, somebody betting 7. Let's put it this way, someone betting 7 a.m. during the week, they're either redoing James Caan's movie from '74 or they're just a degenerate gambler, one or the other. And I sort of lean toward the latter.
The degenerate.
The kind of guy. Put it this way, there's a famous quote from the guy who allegedly fixed the 1919 World Series, Arnold Rothstein, where they said he would bet against everything except the weather because he had no control over that.
You're listening to the show on WNHH-LP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. Yeah! We're streaming live on TuneIn Radio and the NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook right now. All you have to do is go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent, or just go to your Facebook page and look us up. Real easy. My name is Michelle Turner, and this is the show, talking sports this evening with the guru, Tony McClean of BASN. Newsroom. I'm getting it.
I don't.
We've only been doing this 2 years, and I'm still like shaky.
To your credit, we did change the name.
So that helps me a lot.
Well, no, I did it deliberately just to see how you'd react. But that's just me, though. That's just me being
Thanks,
me.
Tony. Mm-hmm. Thanks. The Capitals.
Yeah.
Win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Now, is DC a place where we would expect the Stanley Cup to be won? Specifically because sports fans in DC have been waiting a long time for anything.
And see, they've been the Capitals, put it this way, the Capitals are were for the longest time, they were the hockey version of the old Sixers. We owe you one.
Yes.
Well, the Capitals were up to like about 36 that they owed people, and they only been around for 43 years. But they finally broke through this year. And it's interesting because one of the main players was everybody talks about Ovechkin, but one of their key players is a black. Mm-hmm. And you've seen, and see, the funny thing is, if you go back to the history of the Capitals, they actually tried to reach their black fan base back in the day when they first started. Matter of fact, there were actually 2 black players on their original
squad?
Mike Marston and Bill Riley. Now Devontae Pelly, I'm messing up my man. Devontae Young Pelly, who's with this current Capitals team. He was a main cog in this run. Matter of fact, he scored the tying goal in I think the last 2 games, which set up the game winner. But yeah, DC has been starving. I shouldn't say starving because the Redskins did win it in what was it, 91? I think that was the Redskins' last. That was the last. I mean, Washington. That was the last championship for DC. But yeah, they've had a lot of drinks of water in between. Then the Bullets. I refuse to call them the Wizards.
Why?
I just thought that the reason why they changed the name was kind of silly. I understand there are people being killed in DC, but changing your name wasn't going to stop people from killing each other. I get the sentiment. I understand that, but it's again, that's another 2-hour conversation. I'm not going to get into all of that. But the Bullets haven't won since '78. The Nationals, God bless them, they keep getting close and getting
bridesmaid, as they say.
Well, they're not even a bridesmaid. They can't even get out of the first round. See, a bridesmaid at least will get we'll get to the ceremony.
Yeah.
They're still ordering pizza most of the time with them. They can't get out of the first round. But yeah, it had been a while. It's been a long time for championships, and especially for this organization. And it's kind of cool. I mean,
well, it's different in the respect that it's not the typicals, right?
Sure.
It's not Chicago. It's not the Bruins. It's not anybody that's extended.
They've been like at the cusp. And see, like I didn't even realize it till I actually started looking back at their history, how they've lost a bunch of 7th games. They've blown a bunch of 3-1 leads along the way.
I've heard that a lot.
And see, most Capital fans are like this.
Mm-hmm.
Just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
But this was one time where they said, all right, put it this way, the good thing about it is they weren't as obnoxious as Red Sox fans were after they, waited for so long. And again, I can see the Red Sox fans, getting ready to throw stuff at me.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
But no, it was nice. It was nice for them that for their quote unquote long suffering fans.
And it's definitely a change, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Change.
Mm-hmm.
Change.
And to be honest with you, and I know some of the basketball fans may not buy into it, but 9 times out of 10, the NHL playoffs are a hell of a lot more compelling than the basketball playoffs because of the speed, and because of that whole, when a game goes into overtime, it's on. It goes crazy. I mean,
and I guess I sort of grew up with hockey in a way because I went to Hamden High.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Yeah,
a fan.
And what I always tell folks is, it's I don't try to be snobbish about it and say that it's an acquired taste, but I would just say just check out the game now, because I've been a sports fan all my life. I've gone. I went to go see the Blades back in the day and the Nighthawks
here.
And everything, and
at the arena.
We're in a pretty decent hockey area, so we're gonna know of it
right
a little bit more than say Carolina or Atlanta or what have you, because even though the old Whalers are down there now and they actually won a Stanley Cup while they were there, put it this way, the Hurricanes could pretty much file for witness protection right now in Raleigh, and no one would know the difference.
Well, there's still a love of the Whalers here. I mean,
sadly, it's more here than it is where they're actually playing, which makes no sense. But that shows that perhaps I don't know. It could be twofold. On one hand, it shows that there's a fan base here that really is looking for that sport, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, we miss you because you're not here. While you're here, it's like, we got a hockey team.
Yeah, there is some Jay-Z withdrawal in there. Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, it can go either way, but kudos to Washington for pulling off a major, great season.
Well, this was, the NHL really couldn't lose here, because if Vegas had won, this would have been, and I mean, it still is either way. This was going to be This was going to be the greatest. It still is
the greatest experiment,
the greatest expansion team ever. There is no comparison. There is no expansion team in the NFL that's going to play in the Super Bowl, let alone win their division and do what they. I mean, at one point they had the most points in the NHL at one point this year. They had the best record in the NHL for a long stretch this year. So great, so either way, it was going to be a great story.
Your boy.
Which one?
Stephen A. Smith.
What do you do now?
He basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, and if anybody has children, you may want to take them out of the room, because you're not going to want to try to explain this slang term I'm about to use.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's definitely a bottom feeder. He was on Snoop's show. And Snoop asked him, well, what's your favorite part of a woman's body? And so he said, behind.
Okay.
Okay. And then he said he's definitely a bottom feeder. Well, that took off like lightning. And it went around and around the virtual world.
Yeah. God bless the World Wide Web. For this way, whenever I start to think that I don't have a life, all I got to do is look at the net and realize, man, I'm living like a hog compared to some of these other folks.
Well, the thing was, he said that he immediately apologizes because he's embarrassing the network. And the network is supposed to be...
Oh, he did that years ago. That's a terrible excuse.
As it being a family-friendly network, it is very difficult to explain why he would have or did say what he did.
Well, let's put it this way. Before he got, I don't know what his...
And he said, here's the quote, "I know I'm associated with Walt Disney, but everybody knows I'm a bottom feeder."
Some things are just best left to just leave it alone and let it sort of fester in its own little corner or what have you.
But now here's the other thing too, and not to cut you off. The interview happened in October.
Oh, sure. So strategically, that's the other thing. Because I'm just curious. The show was done. What network or what context was done by?
It was Snoop's network.
Snoop Network. Did I sleep? Did I miss something?
His, I guess.
We're not talking about his Emmy Award winning The Joker's Wild on the Turner Network, are we?
In the interview posted to Snoop's Double G News Network, which is GGN, YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Now this makes a little, okay.
It's the YouTube channel. Okay. But it was picked up by several publications. And an ESPN spokesperson told USA Today in an email he was given permission to do the interview, which was conducted in October. And Stephen A. says he answered the question like he answers every question. Very, very honestly and matter-of-factly.
Without using his head. But, it's interesting because, as a ESPN alumnus, there is a hard, fast rule, especially with their personalities. Notice I didn't say journalist.
Yes.
Their personalities aren't allowed to appear on other and they
have to get permission for that.
Yeah, and it's different, like from a non-compete thing that we hear about in radio or whatever like that. Just go ask your mom what the non-compete is, or go to Google. I'm not going to
go to Google.
We don't have time to do all
that.
Go
to Google right for the non-compete clause.
But again, look, I'll say this, trying not to fan the flames or what have you. And I hope that I don't come off as a jealous ex-ESPN person, but whatever. At one point back in the day, Stephen A. Smith was must-read stuff.
Yeah, because he was more of an outrageous journalist.
Put it this way, beyond the bombast, beyond the outrageousness, Stephen A. was the best NBA writer in the country. Not Peter Vesey, not all these other folks that they try to push on, that they've been trying to push on you for years. Rick Bucher and Mark, all these other guys or whatever. Stephen A. was must-read stuff. When I wanted to find out about stuff about the NBA, I would
go to Stephen A.
when he was writing for the Inquirer. What has happened over the years in journalism, whether it's Stephen A. or Jamel or Jason Whitlock or what have you, you go from being a journalist to being a personality.
Correct.
Now,
cult of personality.
Now, again, if I sound snobbish when I say this, so be it. When people ask me, I'm a journalist. Who, what, where, when, why, how. That's what I was taught to do as a journalist.
And And Tony, though, that's the basic tenet. So it's not snobby to say that. I mean, that's the trade.
But see, the reason why I say that now is because, see, unfortunately, that's not the norm now.
No, it's personality based.
Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, we got lost, and we're seeing the roots of it in everything. Because see, I'm used to seeing it on the news side. They're so far gone. That's why we've got the president that we've got now. And again, that's another 2-hour conversation. But
exactly,
I think you can get the gist of it. I've always gone under this. I put it this way. I'm of the mind that if Watergate had happened now, Nixon would have got away with it, and they would have made a pariah out of the people who brought it up. But again, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
When you go from being a journalist to being a personality, you get what you pay for. When you go from being Walter Cronkite to be Kim Kardashian, you get what you pay for.
But now, here's my kind of side eye at ESPN and all of this. Jamel said something about the president, and she got her hands really slapped.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Because you have to remember that ESPN is in on the same conspiracy as it is anyway.
Which is?
Looking the other way. Because see, here's how ESPN plays themselves. When they get their hands caught in a cookie jar misrepresenting somebody, we're entertainment. Because see, ESPN, for those who don't know, the Entertainment Sports Programming Network. That's how they quote unquote cover their ass. When something like this happens, it's sports entertainment. But then when something really happens in sports journalistically, all of a sudden they want to be the worldwide leader in sports.
Yeah.
You can't have it. Look.
You can't have it both ways.
Put it this way. You can't be Barney Fife 1 minute and then Dirty Harry the next. And see, we're used to seeing that on the news side. But see, somewhere along the way, that is now seeped over into the sports side. And
it's entertainment. It's entertainment.
Yeah, but see, I'm sorry, there's still some of us that want, and I don't think I'm Pollyanna when I say this. I'm not, look, I'll do the tournament, I'll do the tournament pool and maybe bet a few shekels or whatever, but I'm still a sports fan. I'm still that 10-year-old that watches the NFL till my eyes bleed. Yeah. Because I like the NFL. Now, I don't anymore because I've seen now that the belly of the beast ain't friendly. The belly of the beast has now basically said, I could care less if you get beaten in the street. You just make sure you buy those those cold wings and hot beer, and make sure you do the fantasy league thing. Yeah. So I've matured in that sense. What basically changed me was the 1981 baseball strike. I was still young and whatever, and it just let me know this is a business, boys and girls. Right. They can take it away from you any minute and any way. But see, again, to piggyback just on the issue, Stephen A. to me, and I hate to call him, the hell with it. He is one of the many buffoons along the way that is the poster child for this kind of silliness. Look, I'm not so rigid that I can't laugh. I mean, you hear us when we do our banter and everything. Right. And most of the stuff that I do is mostly good natured. I don't try to make it personal or whatever. But see, over the years, this is a guy that has come after, that has basically threatened KD, that has gone out of his way to buy into the BS politics that we see being played out on network TV. This is a guy that went after LeBron and KD, and then when Joe Paterno's son, comes on there and tries to talk up his dad while looking the other way while little boys were getting raped, I didn't hear Stephen A.'s voice then. Right. I heard him cower in the corner fearfully.
Well, here's the thing. This is my issue right now with all of this. Is he going to get any reprimand? It looks like not. And in the midst of us, being in the whole Me Too era right now, it would seem that he would have thought before he opened his mouth. Well, yes, he's Stephen A. Yes, he's known for saying outrageous things. But at the same time, it almost seems like ESPN is giving him permission because he apologized.
Of course. And see, there's the racial double standard, and then there's the sexist double standard. Because see, let's be honest now. And I'll piggyback with Jamel, because to be honest with you, right now, Jamel's in the best place she could be right now, working for Undefeated, because that's what I remember Jamel Hill from. When she was writing with the Orlando Sentinel, again, she was must-read stuff.
Yeah.
When she got the TV and her and Michael Smith put on, I guess it was SportsCenter.
Yeah.
But SportsCenter has gotten abominably worse and worse and worse over the year. But again, that's another 2-hour thing. But see, the sad thing is ESPN is showing you their politics in regard to this. Because let's face it, Michelle, Jamel got fired.
Yeah.
Jamel got fired. You can
call it what you
want, but she got fired.
Yeah.
She got fired. That's why she's at Undefeated right now. They're covering their ass in the sense of putting her on Undefeated. Now, what they may do with Stephen A. is they may whatever.
You got to rap.
Oh, well, you'll put it this way. When he finally says something that they don't either agree with or don't like, then he'll be sent to his room.
Last but not least, NBA Finals. And you know what? I got a lot of nerve to talk about it because I ain't watch it at all this year.
Don't feel bad.
Which is unusual for me because I am a basketball fan.
Sure.
But I didn't watch this year because it wasn't there for me.
Was it more so because of the teams being there the fourth year, or was it because of the outside BS? Or was it a little from column A, a little from column B?
Well, you know what? I think it's a little bit of both. And I think, I give the NBA credit for at least not going the route of the NFL as far as its players are concerned.
Not yet.
Well, Tony, I think right now they're the shining hill. They're the light on the hill.
For now. I'm just saying for now.
All right, we'll have that discussion another time.
We can go back and forth with
because
that.
I think they are. Because I think they are not infringing on their players' rights to free speech. So, I'll give them that.
Right.
But as far as me, the old school fan, maybe I'm too old school. And so I really didn't watch. But the scuttlebutt with the games being over and, my Golden State Warriors taking it out.
I wish,
the one thing I wish LeBron well, and I hope that he stays in Cleveland. That's my bottom line. I hope he stays in Cleveland.
And to be honest with you, I think there's more validity to that than people think. But see, again, because of the BS factor, and like you said, that 24/7 feeding frenzy that goes into it. Because see, the thing I fear is we're not going to see. Look, we're in the middle of a dynasty here in Oakland, and the sad thing is people are talking more about the BS than about the greatness of this team.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that gets lost.
And Kevin Durant is doing his thing, man. Yeah, they have given him all rights and privileges to do so. Well, so he is.
Yeah, see,
amazing.
Think about this, and a buddy of mine was telling me about it. If they don't win another title, they're probably the first franchise to literally win, basically three of the last 4 titles, and we can debate about what happened with that fourth one. But they basically won just by sheer shooting. There isn't a team from the past, from the present, or the future. Well, maybe the future might be kind of a bit much, but there isn't a team that you really can compare them to in that offensively. Defensively, again, we could argue or what have you, but everything about them is about the jump shot. Now, if you're a purist, you may say,
because I hear it from the great ECT, and I agree with her. That's my mama, the coach. That nobody plays. it's basically a run and shoot type thing now.
And see.
Nobody thinks. They pass.
Yeah. But see now a lot of that has to do now with the influx of with the influence and influx of how AAU basketball has basically
that's true.
Basically pushed high school basketball aside. I'm not crazy about that because I still think there's a lot to be said about high school basketball. Look, we grew up in a powerhouse place. Put it this way. This will be my old man in the barbershop moment, and that'll be it.
And then we got to wrap.
We grew up in that era where it meant something to be Class LL, Class M, state champs. We grew up in that era of Super John and Theron Mays and Dave Hicks and so and on, and Sly Williams literally carrying Lee High School by himself.
Right.
Those are memories I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So to see the way that it's done now, I'm with your mom on that.
Yeah, I don't miss anything. I don't miss it. Tony McClean, BASN Network?
Newsroom. We'll change it to network.
You know what?
We're going to change it to network.
I'm just going to write it down every time you're here. I'm going to stick it in front of me, put it in my hand. It's been too long for me not to remember this.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all love.
The sports guru, Tony McClean, in the studio with me as we have discussed breaking news in sports this evening on the show. That's what you're listening to on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We stream on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com// New Haven Independent, or just go to your Facebook page. All right. This has been the show. Thank you to Harry Draws, who is my very patient producer. And remember, you never know who's going to be on the show.
We're good?
Yay, we're good. Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Perfection.
Hey, you know what you're doing.
Oh, Tony, it's been so long.
Once you get, but see, once how long is it, but